Welcome to episode number 1 of the Wheels and Beyond podcast, where conversations about safer streets and traffic reduction and how people get around cities motivates us to keep building this awesome community of like-minded people. I'm your host, Ben Durham, and today our guest is Annette Gilbert, who is, at the time of recording this podcast, an elementary school principal at Chippewa Public School here in London, Canada. I originally reached out to her because I wanted to capture footage of one of her epic 16-kilometer morning commutes across London to the school that she works at before she retired. We were successful in capturing that, and then we sat down for this podcast. So, let's jump right in. We both rode our e-bikes here today, and then, entertainingly enough, because normally, what's your locking procedure? Because you just forgot your keys in your pannier.
You're calling me out on this. We've barely started and you're calling me out. Okay. Yes. Well, so
I have done the same. I have left my keys in my lock before, and I'm
okay. So I didn't leave my key. I did use the back tire lock, but then I have another U-lock that I, hook it up to wherever if I feel like I need to. Although I don't think I do here. I thought I don't want to worry about it, so I go back out, put that on, throw the keys in the bag that it comes in, and throws it in my pannier. Yes, nice work, Annette. So it dawned on me I didn't have all my keys in the pocket. So thank you for calling me out.
All's good. I just thought I would start with that. So we both rode our bikes here. My ride here was about 8 kilometers. How long was yours? Or do you even keep track?
I really? No idea. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. So how long was your commute?
Maybe a half hour.
And this is not on my list of questions.
Don't stick to the script.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you are planning to go somewhere, how do you figure out when to leave? Like, do you check Google Maps? Because that's what I do.
Yeah, I do. I check Google Maps.
And then how accurate do you find the cycling portion?
In terms of estimated time of arrival, that sort of thing? It depends. It depends on if I'm taking a way I haven't before. Also, like elevation, although with an e-bike, I know that doesn't, it depends. It depends on traffic and how many intersections I got to go through. I try to avoid those. We've talked about that before. But yeah, I use Google Maps.
And for context there, you mentioned that we talked about this before because a few days ago, I reached out and was like, hey, do you want to do a ride along? And so then I was crazy enough to bike across the city 16 kilometers.
Yes, you were crazy enough to meet me at my home.
And then
then do the same commute back.
Yeah. And on the way there, we were expediting the process. We just took all the main routes, took Sarnia Road, which anyone in London knows that right now, not great. So you avoid that. And I've never taken your route. That was really cool. Can you tell me about how you figured out how to kind of weave through Brescia?
Yeah, the residential area behind there. There was a time when I would take Sarnia Road, but I cannot stand Sarnia and Wonderland. It is dangerous for everyone, but particularly pedestrians and cyclists. And you've got this bike lane painted for a couple of blocks. Sweet, great, here we go, I can do that. And then all of a sudden you hit the top of the hill at Castle Grove, and despite being so close to Western, there's nothing. And regardless of the fact that I leave pretty early in the morning, there tends to be still people getting off the bus and taking the sidewalk. So it's hard to take the sidewalk too. It wasn't the right move. So one day, right, I thought I would snake my way up to Brescia, just using the residential streets. And that's the one I take all the time, and every day, twice a day.
There we go. As you said that, I realized how ridiculous the Sarnia Road thing is, because the bike lane cuts off as you get to a place that should be extraordinarily walkable and bikeable.
Right, of all places. Of all the, that demographic, people that are attending Western, who tend to take, public transit or whatever. And if you want to live near Western, you'd want to be able to get there safely. Anyhow, yeah?
Yeah, it's like maybe you would get the bike lane on the way to Western. Now it appears. Nope, it's the reverse. Yeah. So I'm just keying into that now. Wow, that is weird and bonkers. Okay.
It's beyond unfortunate. Yeah. Because I don't go to university anymore, obviously.
Really?
But maybe I will when I grow up. But even on Richmond side, how do you get off campus in a safe way. It's not easy. Anyhow, that's another conversation.
The short version of it is you can do it with difficulty and planning and
Yeah, you got to know.
I think that's a lot of biking too, though. Like how long did it take you to figure out your nice route that we took to get to the TVP and then get to your commute? And we'll get to when you switched over to, which is 3 years ago, I believe, to your current
school. Yeah, right. So you know what? Honestly, I don't remember. I just knew that I had to, because I just found, and during the winter time, because I cycle all the time, painted bike lanes are never cleaned necessarily. So I just knew I needed to find something else to feel safe, but also enjoy. And really, the less I'm with cars, the more I enjoy it. Yes? So I have the luxury of the TVP, which I'm very grateful for.
I guess while you're on the TVP, do you end up having bike buddies? As in people that you pass every day?
Yeah, absolutely. I have regulars. In fact, I was thinking, because as you know, because I'm reminding you, I retire in a couple of weeks, or less than a couple of weeks. And I know I'm going to have to stop in the next couple of weeks and say, hey, I have said hi to you for like 3 years, and there they are with their dog. And there are people that I don't know their names, but we always say, hey, morning, that kind of thing. And I want to stop and say, I'm going to miss you because I'm not going to see you particularly. Certainly not at those times. And, people are out just like me. I mean, I got to get to work. They're creatures of habit. They go out at the same time every day as well. So, yes, that's... I do run into typically the same people, sometimes students on their way walking somewhere. I see my own students sometimes at the end of the day, and it's, like whenever you see your teacher or your principal.
Wait, they have a life outside of... Whoa, you don't live at school?
I had no idea, yeah. So, and they're always, I park my bike in my office. They see it all the time, and yet when I'm on my bike in natural surroundings, it's like, oh my gosh, she's got her bike, yeah.
So right before we get into what made you start commuting by bike and how you got into it way back when, potentially, I don't know, when I called you out about the bike lock.
yes,
Going back
that's Ben, yes.
No, okay, so it's a great example of the differences in driving versus biking.
Yeah.
And it does take a little bit more effort. You have to have, everyone does the, at least for guys, you do do I have my wallet, keys, and whatever, the phone, yeah.
Definitely the phone.
So you have those, but then as a cyclist, do you keep two separate keychains? Like what do you do with that?
Yeah. No, I don't have keychains. I don't always use my U-lock. I tend to just use the back tire, and that just slides into my pocket. Great. But I do, you're just making me think, and this isn't obviously when I go to school, I've got it in my office, but if you're going shopping, like grocery shopping or whatever, so you're locking twice. I want to make sure I have those keys in my pocket as opposed to back in the panniers. And then my phone, I have a holder on the handlebar. Mm-hmm. I have done that. I have walked into a store and left my phone, and that panic button when you're 2 aisles in, it's like, oh. Yeah. So, and it was still there, but yes, you do have to go through like a mental checklist around, okay, I got this, I got that, are we good? Take a peek around. Yeah.
I do find though that even though I think we've all freaked out, anyone who's like forgotten something, whether it's in your car or at home, or did I lock the front door, or
right,
in the case of biking though, I've left my bike accidentally unlocked before and nothing happens. I mean, okay, that you should not be doing that. Don't do that. But like I'm trying to think of a high theft area, but as long as you mostly lock your bike and leave the key in, I mean, it sounds ridiculous. I have done that.
Now, I do have to say, I have had my bike stolen. Like, not my e-bike, but 2 bikes ago, I had a hybrid. It was actually at a school, too. I was there for a PD day. Anyhow, and I had locked it up. And it didn't have the tire lock, the cafe lock. And yeah, it was gone when I came out at the end of the day.
And had you locked the frame with the U-lock?
Yeah.
Interesting. So that one was definitely, they sought it or picked it. Yeah. Because some people say, I've lost my bike before. And then you ask them and they're like, I locked my quick release front tire with a cable lock. And I'm like, okay, so they used scissors or they used click and it's gone.
Yeah. No, and so this was a downtown and not a busy time perhaps. I don't know. At any rate, that was then. You learn.
Yep. So actually, that's a potentially perfect segue. Going back 2 bikes ago or even before, when did you start biking? Was it like when you were a kid, a teenager, an adult, etc.?
I grew up in a small town, so yes, I remember my first bike, banana seat and all, streamers off and then I think when I got to probably, I don't know, university, then I didn't bike for some time, had kids, and then when they got, I don't know, maybe around 10, I have 3 girls, I got this this hybrid bike. I thought, I'll just get something that I can bomb around on strictly for recreation. And they had bikes and that sort of routine.
Did you happen to get that at Canadian Tire or like where did you get that? Because a lot of people, especially in North America, okay, well, not Canadian Tire in the US, but in Canada, everyone seems to have these Canadian Tire mountain bikes in their garages. It's like a phenomenon. And they're kind of a rubbish tool for the majority of what people do around cities, which is get around the neighborhood on this high resistant tire with sometimes dual suspension. It's like, you're not mountain biking.
You don't need it. And the thing about what's called a hybrid, you know what? I don't remember where I bought it, but talk about not doing anything well, because this was not the kind of bike that you could mountain bike, but it also was horrible on the road, right? And you're still over, not like I'm up right now kind of thing. Anyhow, so then that's actually why I got rid of it, because it really didn't do anything particularly well.
It didn't do any well.
It didn't do any of it.
And I'm assuming...
And it got stolen.
You're like, someone else can have this.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Please do steal it. Did it have a rack or no?
No.
Okay, so it didn't have a rack, didn't have fenders. It probably...
No.
Okay, yep, didn't have anything.
Right on. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot to mention, we are at the Bicycle Cafe. We are at the London Bicycle Cafe on the nice patio. It is pretty bustling, actually.
It is.
We
It's
didn't
awesome.
anticipate this many people in the morning. We came here like, oh my goodness, it's busy.
Actually, they're all my friends. No, I'm kidding.
All paid actors. But either way, they have bikes that you actually end up using. This is not a promo, but they have fenders. Some don't have shocks because you don't need shocks all the time. They are nice, especially we'll cover Wonderland shortly.
Yeah, we will. The slalom course of the bike lane.
Yes. But yeah, you don't need those things, especially if you're going for a leisurely ride over to get groceries or do your commute. So anyway, it's just nice having a place that actually sells useful bicycles rather than Canadian Tire, which sells you a thing that will fall apart if you actually use it for more than a month. So
Tell us how you really feel, Ben.
oh, okay, that was my
Inside voice coming out.
yeah. The intrusive thoughts. I think that's the okay.
Anyhow.
So you got that bike stolen.
It was at a school, and I was there attending a PD day as a teacher.
That was the one that you had as when you were younger?
No, as I don't know, in my 30s or something like that.
Okay. So that was 2 bikes ago. Wow. So
And then I bought a road bike at Trek, I think.
okay.
A Cannondale. It's a sweet. I still have it.
Okay.
Love it.
So no, I was wondering about that because you said 2 bikes ago, and I'm like, how many bikes have you been through? The banana seat one when you were younger.
Yes, and then you go through whatever it was for me when I was a teenager, 18,000 speeds, and didn't use any of them. And then I went through a period of time where I wasn't biking at all, and then I got this hybrid, my Cannondale, and now my e-bike.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's the timeline, sir.
There we go. So how many years ago did you start commuting on your bike?
I wouldn't have commuted. I've been an administrator for 7 years. Oh, but before that, I worked at the board office
Okay.
as a literacy coordinator, and I commuted there as well. I didn't do it 4 seasons. It was a road bike. But I did I started commuting there because I could take the TVP as well. And that was a really attractive thing. So when I think about, gosh, I haven't thought about this in a while. There was a girl there, Fiona, who had put out a poster.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. We saw the green wall.
Oh, yes. I feel like I'm at a wedding. I always get, even as a video, I get asked.
Ask that guy.
Yeah, hey, you have cameras. You know how to take a photo.
Yeah,
It's like,
I could trust you.
Yeah. Okay, so you were mentioning that the TVP was a really nice way for you to bike.
Yeah.
And so you were mentioning someone.
Yeah, did I, you annually they have this bike to work day.
Yes.
And I think it might have been the first time I biked to work.
So that day does work.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And now it's like, I don't even recognize it because it's every day is bike to work day, right? But no, I believe that was the first time I commuted and I loved it. I couldn't do it all the time because I wasn't at the board office all the time. We were at different spots, but when I was there, yeah, that's where it started.
Wow. So was there someone who helped you along with it, or were you?
There was this girl that she had biked and kind of advertised this maybe through email or maybe posters on the wall. And I was like, I could do that. I think I could do that. And that's what yeah.
Awesome. Because I've found that I hear similar stories all the time. Someone took the time to reach out and say, hey, would you like to go do this thing, this biking? And you're like, I mean, well, yeah, I can go on a fun ride on the TVP or on the roads. It's like, no. You can ride to work.
Right.
It's like, hold up. What? That people do that?
Yeah.
And so then you're exposed, and then someone takes your hand essentially and says, hey, just make sure you do this, do that, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, honest. And just in parking. Yes. Like, where do you park? And so there was this room that we did park at. And so, yes, you're right. It's important that if you are a bike commuter, that you share your joy, the possibilities, and an invitation.
Yeah. I think the invitation is huge.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this isn't exclusive. Like, it's not. So, okay, here's another interesting bit. Mammals, are you familiar? The males dressed in lycra, that crew.
Oh,
they're
yes.
Shoot.
Yes.
Something. I forget the acronym. Yep. And when you started commuting, you did that on your road bike, correct?
I did.
And that's totally fine. It's okay.
No judgment.
Yeah, and people still do that.
And I did wear the lycra. Well, because when you're on a road bike too, like there's no chain guard, there's no fenders. I mean, I could go on, right? The seat is not comfortable. So yes, and then you'd have to change when you get to work, right?
Exactly. And I did the same thing. I biked from Masonville Mall over to StarTech, which is over at Oxford and Veterans. So that's about 15 kilometers, actually very similar to your commute, which is near Masonville. Yeah. And you go over to, well, near to Huron Heights, over near Highbury and Huron. Actually closer to Clarke and Huron.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
So we had similar commutes, actually. And
See, the problem is we're both pretty passionate about bikes. Yeah. And like we could be here all day. Right?
I know. Yeah, I'll get back onto. Yeah, what about this? Yeah. So with that commute, I bought some lycra and I would wear that, and I would get to work and I would be drenched.
It's true.
Like
it's true.
Yeah, and I would fill up my panniers because I had to bring things. So yeah, that was funny thing. That was over 10 years ago, a decade ago. I'm just gonna grab this for the video portion. This pannier has been with me for so.
Through this.
Yeah, it was weatherproof. Now I need to patch it up more. As I knock the other camera. Okay, you stay there. Yep. But no, so I also did that. Yep. And I have a thing. The reason I got an e-bike was not to do with the hills, although it's very nice to do with hills, but hills are predictable. What's not predictable? Wind. Yep. Headwind. Yes. So you plan, I asked at the top, how do you plan your routes?
Yeah.
And it's like Google. And you plan it, oh, it's going to take me 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then the wind kicks in.
Yes, that's so true.
And with an e-bike, you just say, nope, skip.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say no to that wind.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, and so that is a very nice aspect of having an e-bike. And you would just, I choose always to use the e-bike. I mean, you've seen my car. I'm not sure to get out of the driveway, but when I have to, I will. But I would always choose, because the experience of just being outside and being on the bike, even the commute, it's just epic in comparison. I don't want to be in the car. I would always prefer to take the bike, almost regardless of weather. Almost.
Except for torrential downpours.
Okay, so yeah.
But we did cover that. That's
Yeah.
where having an alternative way to get to work,
Yep.
or yeah, okay, there's sometimes not an or. If it's an absolute deluge of
Yes.
rain,
Yeah.
which is not often.
No,
That's the biggest
it's not,
thing.
really. And the same with snow in the wintertime. There aren't that many days, typically, anymore, where that will stop you. But it depends. It depends on the season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, in the last 4 years, and I say the last 4 years because that's when you've kind of started to really take commuting to
Yep.
work seriously, how has it been? How have you enjoyed it?
Just the best. Just sweet. It is an opportunity to. I just enjoy the mental health piece of it too, not just the physical aspect. But that makes me very active. My job is very active. I do a lot of steps in a day, but this is just getting to work and back is 32K every single day. It's awesome. But like, you're out in nature, you're seeing turtles and snakes and other people, and you get to talk to them, and kids enjoy talking about it at work. And it's really a whole, I don't know, attitude, lifestyle. It is just, that's how I do it.
So can you tell me about your commute before the e-bike and before the bike? Did you drive, and how is that in comparison?
Well, there was a time when I drove to St. Thomas every day to teach. And,
Sounds like fun.
right? And that was before cell phones, okay, Ben? You don't know what, when you couldn't check on your kids, on the way home. You would just show up.
Hoping everything was all right.
Is everyone still alive? You know who you are. Yes. So I just find when I do drive now, I find people like to drive very fast. I find them very angry often. Everybody does complain about construction. I don't have to worry about that when I'm on my bike. And I just don't like the feel, the climate. And when I arrive to work, there is no sense of
Accomplishment?
yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's an experience when you're riding your bike, whereas with a car, it's just getting from point A to point B. Yeah.
Which we did cover on our ride a little bit. And I asked, hey, so how do you like your internal gears, etc.? You're like, huh? What? I don't. The gist was,
I don't speak that.
yeah, I don't care. And that is totally fine, because most people are not car nuts either. They bring their car to the shop. Oh, the engine light went on, etc. Same with you, with your bike.
Yeah. As long as it works, and if there's something, I go see Alex, and he takes care of me. And he's actually even come to my school to fix something one time too. So they're awfully good to me. Yeah. Awesome. So I don't have to worry about that, because I know I can come somewhere where it's going to get taken care of.
So just so I have it on record,
Yeah.
in the last bit, because now you have an odometer on your bike. That's another favorite thing of e-bikes for me, is
True.
just the odometer.
It's true. Yeah.
You can get the aftermarket ones for road bikes.
Right. And I had that on my road bike as well. But no, you're right. It's different. It tracks it all the time.
Yeah, you can't turn it off, basically.
Yeah.
Not even basically, you just can't. So how many kilometers do you have on it approximately right now? We don't have it right here, so
Yeah. I hit 27,000, I don't know, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago. So a little more than that. Yeah.
So it's a lot of biking. So over to the commute. I mentioned Wonderland earlier. but the curb cuts and the user experience of the roadways. If someone from the city or planning or someone watching this is in urban design, etc., what would you like to say to them?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to be measured and say thank you for all you're doing so far. And there are just some things that still need some attention. I hope it's not awareness anymore. I think we're all very aware. I think there's budget concerns. I think there's lots of things to take into consideration. That is a tough question.
It is. And I'm not trying to ask this either for just to ream people out or whatnot.
Right.
It's more like, hey, we discussed this and it was kind of hard to talk because we were actually suffering the consequences of it's the, like you said, the slalom course, but also you have all the bumps and stuff. So it's a mountain biking course. So we're going down Wonderland, headed towards Sarnia, even though that's not what we were going on to. We cut through the neighborhoods. And here we are going, you're on the sidewalk, which technically you're not allowed, but also at the same time, I'm over here, I'm holding the camera. Normally people are not doing that, but you have things in your pannier, your bike bags. And you don't want them to rattle around all that much. And you're going over these curbs and your bike is not a car. Cars have all this suspension. And yet they have the flat road with no bumps. Okay, arguably there's a few bumps because of the cars and their weight. And then you have the bicycles and the sidewalks, and they have the curb cuts. And they're so bumpy. So if you're at any sort of speed over 20 kilometers an hour, it's a very bumpy ride and it's not very pleasant.
No, it's not. And like I said, I have that phone on my handlebar, so it's always like flipping up when, it doesn't go flying. I mean, it is attached. But yeah, it's that's why I actually don't spend that much time on the Wonderland Road pathway. But if you're trying to get somewhere in the south end quickly, I mean, it makes sense that you take it. It's just not as an enjoyable ride. And yes, that's why, the TVP is awesome, but it is not necessarily a commuter's, it works for me just because where I work, but it doesn't work for everyone because people want to get from point A to point B on their commute in a fairly efficient way.
Less weaving,
less taking an extra 4 or 5 kilometers to get to where you want to go. And there's so many intersections along Wonderland. I mean, where driveways, drive-throughs, you name it, where people are not looking necessarily from the direction that you're coming. That takes away from your ability to gain some momentum, really, because you constantly have to be so aware because others are not. Yeah.
So yes, starting, stopping, and maintaining a higher average speed.
Yeah.
But then what I was going to mention is just zone out a little bit. In the TVP, you can zone out a little bit.
I suppose,
because there's not all that cross traffic.
That's
and
right.
If there's someone coming on from an on-ramp, it's almost like a little highway you can think of.
No,
but
it's
a
great.
bicycle.
That's
that
right.
You go, ding, ding, please don't, slow down for half a second, okay? It's a human scale.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and happening in a much slower pace. Yeah.
With less heavy moving objects.
Yes, I don't have to fear for my life. Yeah.
So I guess without throwing anyone under the bus, city planners, etc., the improvements that could be made is just smoothing out the transitions.
Yeah. And the Wonderland path is challenging. I never take it. I always have to take the sidewalk. It's way too bumpy. You just couldn't, or you'd have to stand or something, while you're doing it. So yes, that would be a nice, we could upgrade that.
Yes. Yep.
Because the Fanshawe is fairly new. The one, from I guess Wonderland all the way out to the east end. Not all the way to Highbury. It stops before that, as they tend to. But that's sweet, although they're still working on some intersections there as well. But that's a smoother ride. But again, when you have that much traffic, not just at intersections, but driveways, stores, Tim Hortons, whatever it is, it's a lot of people crossing your path and they're not expecting you.
And if they're already at high speeds and there's people behind them, when they're making that right or left, most often that right turn, right hook, they don't want to, and it's even unsafe for them, minus the safety of the pedestrian or cyclist, to slow down to 0 and wait for a cyclist to come. So they're like, oh, I gotta make it, and they punch it and they floor it right, and it's like, so they're out of the way of the traffic that's moving 70 kilometers an hour. It's like, that is all just bad, just bad.
It is challenging. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, because in the wintertime, for instance, it's very dark at before 7 in the morning, and where traffic from Wonderland is coming into that Tim Hortons at Sherwood Forest Mall or coming out of there, no one is ever expecting somebody walking or cycling. Nobody. So it's always a challenge. Anyway.
So actually, on the positive side, with all of those challenges, how do you make sure that you're safe?
Awareness, just aware.
Just being very aware.
Defensive.
Yep.
You cannot afford to be aggressive on a bicycle. So just defensive.
There we go. I agree. I think it is definitely all of that awareness. There's decision fatigue that I suffer. It's like,
I know. And sometimes I might even post that on social media if I get home safely. Those last 3 blocks can sometimes be the worst of the whole trip.
Also, speaking of that, I don't want to cover all of the negativity, but we could loosely go over this because we already did that in another, when we did the ride along, but it's that lousy intersection over at Edge Valley and Kalele, I believe.
Yeah, it's where Webster comes up to Kalele, but on the other side, on the north side of Kalele, it's Edge Valley, so you're right.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're right. So, yes, I did talk to you about it on the ride along. I think probably a lot of the reason that I had an ulterior motive for talking to you. But sadly, one of my students in grade 3 was biking Thursday, a couple of Thursdays ago. It was still light out. It's after school. He was hit by a car. And while I don't know all the details around it, I do know that he was taken to hospital. He's still in critical care as of right now. And for me, the poignant part of this is not only that safety of the kids that are at my school or kids anywhere in London, it's that I had just been at a meeting, our school council meeting, where our local councillor at Chippewa had attended, and I talked about the intersection. And it was 3 evenings before that boy was hit. So I just knew that it's important for me. It's important for all of us to take our kids' safety into consideration, but it's important for me as a principal and for somebody who commutes and goes through that intersection twice a day. I needed to speak to more than just my colleagues around how we were processing it. I did call the counselor, emailed him, and some others downtown. That wouldn't be something that I would want to wait to see happen. I want a response that's determined and effective and quick, because I have kids that have to go across that intersection every single day if they're not bused. Montcalm kids, we talked about this. Montcalm kids use that. There's no sidewalks. The lighting is poor. There's no stoplight. Kalele is famous for people going, well, the speed limit is 70 kilometers. So it's hard for me to get across in that traffic. Imagine if you're a kid or if you're walking. So yes, that is still fresh in our minds at Chippewa. And I think we have a responsibility to, when we are building and we are considering future construction, we got to take that into consideration. Yeah.
And for those people who say, well, you just have to use common sense, because I've had those people say that, and it's like, oh, well, just use common sense. What do you say about that?
I don't know. I don't know what they mean by common sense. I mean, are you saying a child should not choose to ride their bike? Are you saying don't choose to live on that side, even though your school is on this side of Kalele? I think what you're saying is mom and dad should drive you everywhere, and that is obviously not the decision that I want to see families make. I see that every single day outside of our elementary school and every elementary school across London, where there's far too many cars on those sorts of residential streets where schools are. No, we want kids to arrive to school safely. We want them to be able to play outside after school safely. So I don't accept that argument.
Yep, nope. This is a real argument. Not even.
Yeah.
It started out as a nice chat in front of Home Depot the other day. The guy in the blue shirt that was chatting with me, it started off great, but he quickly turned into bike lanes are silly and you just got to use common sense. And when I was young, yes, he was like, when I was young, I'd be just on the sidewalks and we all survived.
Yeah.
Sure, buddy. Sure. We covered this. We'll leave you alone now. But no, it really. The thing that hurts me the most with that is that area is actually a new development.
It is.
Just underwent a bunch of construction. That intersection it hasn't been redone. Like Edge Valley, that road didn't exist and now it does.
That's right.
And so that intersection could have been redone.
Right.
That's why it's extraordinarily agitating, because the lifespan of roads are typically 20 to 25 years. So once something is done, it's very expensive and they will drag their heels to redo it because it costs a lot. But then the other side of it is, how much does it cost at a human scale?
Yeah, you can't put a price on that. And so obviously that is weighing heavy on our school right now, and certainly on that family. And we hope to hear very good news. I think we have a moral responsibility to address that. And it's a trouble spot. We knew it was a trouble spot. We've obviously chosen, for lots of different reasons, contributing factors, to not fix it. Now we have to. Yeah.
So if nothing else out of this tragedy, hopefully there's change.
That's right.
So I just wanted to, that was pretty heavy. Back over to the light stuff. When you finish work and you bike home, and when you're on the way to work, what are you thinking? Like, how is it to your mental health to bike?
Oh, listen, I just love riding. I just love it. And so you kind of look forward to it. Certainly, the school day is very, very busy. You're making 50 million decisions across the day, right? But being able to have that separation, I try to, between what's happened at school across the day and just process it on the way home, so that by the time you get home, okay, I can breathe again, sort of thing. I just know that if I was getting behind a wheel of a car, you have the stress of the commute and traffic and all of those things. And that's not a time to process. Whereas, I have the luxury of doing that all the time. And in the mornings, it's around planning ahead for the day and who do I need to talk to? And I forgot about that. And then you can stop for a few minutes as you're riding. Stop your head, you're thinking, right? To just take it all in, because there is something about riding in nature that is so invigorating for the day. Yeah, love it.
Awesome. No, this is good.
I might do my commute even after I retire.
I was going to dive into that. Be like, I wonder what your commute and what your daily life is going to look like after your 32 kilometers a day is taken away from you.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't know. Obviously I'll still be riding, but if you don't have to every single day, will you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to wait
It might not be as long. We Oh, there's sun. There's literally
It's coming. I think that's a reflection.
It's funny because there's a single reflection right there.
Right in your eyes.
This is not going to be a lightning round. If you're able-bodied, can anyone bike?
Of course. No question.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There we go. Obviously, infrastructure helps, but there's always, almost always ways around it to make it work for you.
Absolutely. Now, do we go through different phases in our life? Yes. Do you have commutes that perhaps, potentially might not work for a variety of reasons? For sure. But can we think beyond your work life for using a bike for groceries or just whatever? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just adding it into your life somehow. And then the a little bit more phenomenon starts happening.
It's
where
true.
It's like, oh.
Because once you get a taste, that's it. That's it exactly. And then you start committing.
Yeah, exactly. You go around the block, you go to the grocery store. You're like, oh, well, what if I can go to that other grocery store? And then, suddenly your world expands.
It's true.
Yeah, and you just make more trips. Okay.
And it contributes to that whole shopping locally.
Yes.
So you do tend to choose places that might be more nearby where you live, which is also a great thing because those tend to be smaller shops. Anyhow, yeah.
No, that's really good. It's I just put out a few videos about that where, yes, we still do our Costco runs here and there, like quarterly. Like debatably, we don't even need a membership at this point. Like we should probably just not. But most of
I am not a Costco fan, sorry.
Yeah, no. I had a few. As soon as I said the word, I saw in your eyes, you're like, mm-hmm. But no, so no, that's all good. I've had I know
why. You don't have to explain to me.
No. It's Ben Cowie also is not. I know that. Yes, I'm calling you out, but that's totally fine. I totally agree. I get why you're not a Costco fan. But no, we still do that quarterly. And yet we don't need to. Like, it really could just be cut out because we do so much topping up, we call it.
It's true.
Yeah, where I just need to go get some the other day. Bananas, apples, some milk.
That's it exactly.
And you do not need a car for that. So, yeah, that's most of our journeys for topping up.
I hear you. I do the same thing.
How long is your grocery commute or your grocery ride?
Well, it depends on what I'm picking up. But no, I have lots of grocery stores near me. And in fact, I would prefer, sometimes I'll go down to the Western Market just because I get the ride in and it's also an experience, yes. But no, I've got grocery stores well within a couple blocks of me.
Awesome.
Not a problem.
See, that's amazing. As we come to a close, you're like, finally. What are your tips for getting started biking?
Oh, sounds simplistic. Well, you'd need a bike. You just do it. Just do it. Just try it. Honestly, it is so much easier and more enjoyable than you anticipate, I think. So I don't think you get caught up in, I need this, this, and this. You don't need the Lycra. You wear whatever you got on.
This is what we wore for biking today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did not just go change out of spandex.
Yeah,
I wore this.
No. Yeah, that's right. And that's fine too. There's a place for road biking. You're going 100K. I totally respect that too. I don't think there is any barrier that I would accept to not being able to bike. Although you do have to think ahead if you have a family with you, or just thinking ahead about how you're going to get from point A to point B, because that's all. It'll be great. It'll be great. You'll love it.
What would you tell someone here in London, Ontario, who is bike curious or interested in micromobility options aside from driving everywhere? So they're coming from a driving perspective.
Culture, yes.
Yep. And they're bike curious. They drive past the bike cafe and they're like, ooh, what the heck is that? And what would you encourage them to do?
Drop in. And I'm not even working here.
Yeah. I'm not either. This is not, again, this sounds so, we're just fans of the bicycle cafe, I guess.
Because it's awesome. And because it changed my life. Because Here's Ben Cowie. I mean, seriously, it was trying a commuter bike, something that you could use, just a regular, everyday sort of bike. Trying that on for the first time, and you can take these for test rides, and knowing the support that you get from them in terms of sales, but also service, and now all the events that they're putting on. It's that whole, right, third space, getting to know a community. There's far more people biking than you think, and there's so many options. So when anybody is even remotely interested, and in fact, this week I was at a system leaders day, so all the principals across Thames Valley got together, and they all know I'm the one that bikes everywhere because I rode it into the building. And one girl at my table was saying, "So where should I go?" And I was like, "Well, let me tell you." And that's what I always do. I was like, "You got to go down here," because there's lots of bike shops, which is great. This just happens to be the one where I think that they've got that handle on meeting the needs of people that want to bike on a regular basis for commuting. It doesn't have to be an e-bike. They've got other ones, but just that daily transportation. That's, yeah.
And I already covered this. I won't drive it into the ground, but yeah, fenders and uprightness.
Yes.
Oh, and when we're talking, just if you don't know, the aggressiveness of a bike, you imagine a road bike, you're down here.
It's true.
And an upright bike is, boom, you're up. And yours is even more relaxed than mine.
Oh,
where
it's so sweet.
You're almost standing up
It's
riding.
true.
It's beautiful.
It is a sweet thing. And in fact, one of the reasons I got it was not only because I was taken by the comfort, is my road bike, because I used it for commuting, my neck hurt all the time.
Yep, I know that feel.
You know what, you get like just that whole down, and your neck is up like this, but your body is here. And I was constantly this tension sort of whatever. And it's like eliminated that, right?
Aside from the wind, that was the other reason for, well, not the e-bike, that's totally different, but the uprightness.
Yes, that's right.
I was young when what is it? I don't know. I was like in my 20s, and I was still getting like neck pain.
Yeah.
I'm like, ouch.
Horrible, yeah. You do not have to put up with that.
Yeah, it's very nice. So with all of that upright fanboyism, fangirling and fanboying about the uprightness of bikes is great.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts? I mean, this is fun. Slightly longer than I anticipated. Whoops,
Yeah,
my bad.
you're going to have to cut some of this.
Dang it. Not again.
No, I'm looking forward to, obviously I'm retiring.
Yep.
I am looking forward to seeing how I can combine that passion with maybe something else. Because I know I won't be able to give it up, and I look forward to many more cycling kilometers ahead of me. Yeah.
There we go.
Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. No problem. Well, thanks for watching or listening. One of those. Bye.